This is my 1986 Monte Carlo SS steering shaft. I had replaced this since it was worn out, had the torn boot on there, had a worn out rag joint, so it had some slop in it. So I replaced it with a truck steering shaft. Obviously fixed the slop issue, but as I had replaced the gearbox, which was also worn out with a Lee 670, I noticed that I was getting a lot of NVH, and that's what this rag joint does for you. So rather than have this unit and have NVH, I wanted to go back and service this unit. So Mikes Montes has this boot. He says basically it's the only one on the market, the only one I've seen too, but the fitment is not that great. He says I've also got a good rag joint if you want to service that too, but he said you're already about 50% of an entire solution that I have, and that is the entire steering shaft with this plastic housing, and it's got a Zerk fitting here to grease it, and this is that steering shaft here that I've installed. Telescopes just like the original one for safety considerations, but let me go through some of the considerations for removal and installation. A couple things to note before you start: make sure your steering wheel is centered. That'll ensure that the rag joint bolt is facing upward. That'll also help you when you position to put the new shaft on, to make sure that you get this flat spot, because if it's centered, you notice this is from an image from Lee steering boxes. They put a yellow mark to show where it's centered, but this flat portion of your steering shaft or the input shaft of the steering box should be on the top side. That'll have your bolt positioned just like I showed you in the car. And this flat piece here mates with the flat on the input shaft and the steering box. The other thing to note is this does not come black from Mikes Montes. It's gray just like the factory. This is bare metal, so I just scuffed this and rattle canned it black to match my car. So here's just a quick rundown of the tools that I use. This is the bolt that you need to remove. So either 7/16, 11 millimeters, a little tighter on that. Hammer and punch. This is just to tap off the rag joint and tap off this off the steering wheel shaft. And then this 15 millimeter 6-point to get this bolt off, because you got to take this bolt off first to remove this. Taking it off, you can pretty much start at either end if you want. Got to remove this bolt first. That's at 15 millimeter. It has that square housing in this unit here that holds this bolt into place as you're rotating this. And then basically tap this off of this side, or you could start on this side too, because you got enough room to remove the 7/16 or 11 millimeter. Make sure you remove that all the way, and I'll show you why. And then what I use is just a punch and a hammer to tap this off of the steering box shaft. Here is why you need to take that bolt, this bolt out all the way, and that's because this assembly, here's an image for this, goes all the way up to here, up to the face of this, because that bolt is securing this through here. And so unless you completely remove that bolt, you're not going to be able to tap this off. Also, you're not going to be able to tap it back on, and you're not going to be able to thread this all the way through, because if it's not in this slot, it'll interfere with the insertion of that to get that fastened once you get it back on. So just make sure when you remove this, remove it all the way, tap it off. One difference that I noticed with mine is that the fitment of this was very snug. It was a precise fit on the steering shaft from the steering wheel side. And so Mikes Montes, I mean, it slid on like butter because, you know, it wasn't tight around that shaft. So Mike had indicated that he had to use a vise on his to squeeze this down. I indicated to him that, hey, I'm going to try, just because it's a hardened bolt, just walking it in and I needed some leverage, and I wanted to use a 6-point so it wouldn't slip off, and I didn't have a 6-point for a 1/2 inch. That's why I got this adapter on a 1/2 inch wrench. I couldn't fit an impact in there, but that's also why I'm using the wrench, but it worked. Just took my time, just snug this down, and there's no slack in this whatsoever. I mean, it was really loose before, but I was able to cinch that down, and it's tight now. Hope you liked my video.